49 of the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network. That was Division 1.1 with violence in the season. Dan, how you doing tonight?
Good. What's up? How's this week going so far for you? A lot of sports, a lot of playoffs are going on. The baseball, hockey's getting in full swing, and we have football. As always, it's still another down week for both New York football teams. Hey. But instead of putting a damper on things, we have our guest, Stan.
Yes, first-time guest today from HockeyBuzz.com. He's from Connecticut. He does a lot of the Sound Tiger games. He goes to a lot. But he follows the Islanders very well. I've met him a couple of times. Great guy. Very excited to have him on.
Yeah, and he actually wrote a good article pertaining to last night's game, which we'll get into that segment.
Yes.
Since I was at that game, and my bad luck continues.
But he is an exciting guy to have on tonight. We got permission from Andy.
Yeah, so, yeah. We're not cheating on Andy this week. We're just flirting.
We're flirting with other people this week. But don't forget, Dump and Trace Podcast. They had a great one this week.
They had Jigs this week.
Jigs McDonald was on, yes.
Yes.
And also, check out Eyes on Isles. Don't forget that. Blue Line Station. 7line.com. I heard he's been working on some new things for the off-season as well.
Yeah, he's also working on a mustache, if you saw on Instagram today.
Yeah, his own personal mustache.
Yeah, that would be like me growing a mustache. Just can't let it happen.
It doesn't work. Well, whatever. Anywho, we're going to play a little more Division 1.1, and we'll come right back with some football.
Welcome back to the S&D Podcast. You just listened to Violence in the Season by Division 1.1. We have to do some of our laundry.
Laundry?
Let's start off with the New York
I don't know what you're talking
Giants.
about. Our jerseys are cleaned because, well, the other team keeps running around whenever we throw them the ball.
We're talking about our beloved 0-6 New York Football Giants.
Yikes.
Oy vey, as our Jewish friends like Steven like to say when bad things happen a lot. Oy vey is all I got to say. I know Eli, this week Eli cost us the game. This was the offensive line sucked kind of game. It wasn't the running game. We didn't get any running game kind of game.
To be fair, we actually did.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. This week wasn't that game that we had the offensive line or the running game to blame. This week solely was on the shoulders of Eli Manning and the wide receivers.
Couldn't catch the ball.
Which hasn't been the case all entire year.
They weren't in sync. I have no idea what's going on, but our team doesn't look like they're in sync.
It's just that's what happens when you're 0-5 and people just don't want to hustle anymore, or they just don't want to. They just really don't want to play as a strong, reliable player. And eyes in the skies don't lie. And a lot of players want to get contracts next year. Like, for example, Akeem Nicks, he's expecting to get number one wide receiver money.
Not even close. He doesn't deserve it.
Just the way he's been playing and the effort and it's really disgusting.
To be fair, he was our best receiver the past probably 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not taking that away. Ruben Randall had a rough game.
Actually, Randall had the best game.
Randall
3 for 75 with a touchdown. Nicks was 4 for 70. Cruz was 4 for 68.
Victor Cruz has been kind of quiet the last few games because they're finally double and triple teaming Victor Cruz.
He doesn't. Oh, he has 4 touchdowns. I was going to say, I feel like he doesn't have a touchdown, but Akeem doesn't have a touchdown.
Akeem doesn't have. Ruben Randall has 3.
3 for the season.
3, yeah. Victor Cruz has 3.
4.
4. Yes, he does have 4.
And right. Akeem hasn't been in the end zone yet.
Akeem hasn't been in the end zone. It's just a lot of frustrating. We had a shot to get our first win of the year. We were driving down the field like the Giants of old because we were able to run the ball last week, which we weren't able to do. And
congratulations to Jacobs, 100 yards.
Yeah,
22.
Didn't expect that to happen. Just Eli airmailed it a little bit. Granted, Brendan Myers did get his hands on the ball, but it was a little high. Thank God I didn't put it right on Twitter right after that play. Well, actually, I did Facebook, but good thing I didn't vent on Twitter or Facebook. Yeah. Very
you
vulgar.
You safely texted me.
Yeah, no, it's just one of I couldn't sleep after this game.
You know what's scary? Other than I think probably the Denver game, we could have won every game. Other than the Denver game.
Denver and the Panther.
And the Panther game, yeah. The Panther game also.
Every other game we should have won. Not should have won. Every game we were in the game until we did something stupid.
Right.
It's just been one of those years. it's God. I don't. I like I've been saying the last 3 weeks. It's just.
Oi.
Oh yeah, Oi is right. I don't know anymore. It's just gotten to that point. We finally have a middle linebacker.
Beeson led the team in tackles last week.
Mazel tov to that.
Well, to be fair, we had one 2 years ago. Chase Blackburn.
Oh no, but I'd rather have Beeson over Chase, even though Chase may always get the right calls and everything like that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Carolina wants Chase over Beeson. Can you tell?
Well, for the record, he's cheaper. For the record, he's cheaper. And honestly, Beeson was playing outside linebacker. He was not playing his main role as middle linebacker because he would be a better fit at the outside linebacker opposed to Chase Blackburn, who wouldn't be able to run around with tight ends and everything like that. So that's why that situation was getting awkward. So I'm happy we got Beeson back. Oh, well, we got Beeson. We actually have another guy that will play really hard, and he's able to, granted he's been hurt, but he will be able to play a little dime defense, nickel defense, playing with the linebackers, which actually helps us because other than Jaquan Williams and Paysinger, no one's really able to cover the tight ends pretty well. So and running backs pretty well. So I don't know. It's the secondary played okay.
Secondary played decent.
Brandon Marshall is Brandon Marshall, pretty much.
Can't really do anything about him.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys where he's going to get his place.
And it really sucks with this year's Giants team which we're not accustomed to over the last, well, pretty much as long as Michael Strahan was on the Giants. We don't have that pass rush this year. And that's really frustrating to see, and that's what really is hurting our secondary. If we can't get the pass rush going, our secondary is going to look weak and beleaguered and being able not to contain the wide receivers because the quarterback has 9 or 10 seconds to be able to throw the ball, opposed to having a defensive tackle or defensive end, or God forbid, should I say, a linebacker in their face.
It's a linebacker.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I hope the Giants win a couple of games, get the confidence going a little bit more. I just want them to finish out the season strong. What were you counted?
11 days off.
11 days off.
To think about being 0-5. 0-6.
0-6.
11 days.
11 days. 11 days.
And you're going to play on Monday Night Football.
And
everybody's watching.
Everybody's watching.
Well, actually, I don't think everybody's going to watch this game. Giants,
everybody
Vikings.
watches it if it's fantasy related. Like we've been doing every other Monday Night Football game we have this year.
But at least there have been decent games. Like this is.
Oh yeah.
What are the Vikings? 1 win?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. StubHub's $50 now. It's not bad at all.
I mean, you get to see Peterson.
Yeah.
Josh Friedman's making his Minnesota Viking game.
Yeah, that if it was honestly, we've been torched all entire season. But Friedman, there's no excuses if Friedman is able to torch us next week.
To be fair, it could end up being one of those. He may not know the playbook, but it's like, oh, we got this young quarterback in there who's supposed to be this good, first round pick. Okay, let's go out there and play hard with him.
Exactly.
It could be one of those. I mean, they have a good tight end.
It could go that way. It really can, especially with Peterson. Absolutely. But honestly, the Giants should find a way to win this game. We have 11 days to scout up on everything. And Josh Friedman, granted, he's been with the team for over a week, but he still has to get accustomed to the playbook and everything like that.
Before we move on with this game, since we are playing the Vikings, our condolences to
absolutely.
Adrian Peterson and his family, of course.
Of course.
Just discussing what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, absolutely. It's really sad. It's really disgusting, and it's really sad that we have to talk about it. Yeah. But it's stuff that we have to touch base with. But it's
definitely want to throw that out there.
So, yeah. Our condolences are definitely with AP.
Yeah, an awful game.
Yeah, no, but that's expected. He has had a lot more important things to take care about and worry about. And, of course, they're going to stack the box against him. So, what do you expect? Of course, he's going to have a crappy game.
I mean, they are just a crappy team, to be fair.
Yeah.
Matt Castle was 32 for 44. Touchdown, 2 picks, 200 yards, 241. 10 for 62 for Peterson. That was it.
That's exactly. They stacked the box, and honestly, this year, the running backs have not been awesome this year. So a lot of fantasy teams are suffering.
Wow, I completely forgot to have Greg Jennings.
Oh, yeah. Greg Jennings has had a couple good weeks against the Steelers. I kind of expect him to have a good game now with an actual established quarterback that's able to get him the ball.
20 for 286 and 2 touchdowns is his season.
Yeah, he's had a rough season, but I picked him up in a bunch of fantasy leagues because I had a feeling that he'd be better, especially the last couple of weeks, especially with Freeman going to be throwing him balls.
Their best player has been Jerome Simpson, former Bengal. 23 for 372. No touchdowns, though. And they moved Joe Webb, the wide receiver, this year also.
Yeah, well, they kind of did it last year as well with that. But he's the security quarterback just in case kind of thing.
He's the third-string quarterback.
Yeah. He's
there if they need him. And they dress him, and he could play. He's got, the legs. You've seen it. He can run, so...
Fortunately, it was a playoff game that we had to see him in it. So.
Well, he played the year before.
No, but I'm saying the last time we saw him in a quarterback
situation.
He
had a rough situation. You're going to go to Green Bay.
Yeah, you're not going to get that.
To Green Bay in January. You haven't played all season. And, hey, here you go. Go win a playoff game.
Pretty much.
No pressure. They're going to make sure you can't run the ball with Adrian Peterson.
Pretty much.
3 points, Giants.
We're favored.
We're at home.
I'm going to take the Giants. We can't go on something. Watch.
Cover?
You're going to cover, yeah.
46.5. Over, under.
Under.
Under? Yeah, I could see a low-scoring game in this one.
Yeah, under.
This is going to be ugly. That's my view.
All right, let's switch gears now. It's
Okay, but before we do, by the way, over, under on 3 sacks for Jared Allen.
Probably
going up against the rookie. Just keep that in mind.
It's going even.
Even 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Figured I'd throw that out there because you got to think he's going up against Pugh.
Yeah, it's going to be even. Obviously, Pugh's going to get a lot of help. So, let's change gears. This week's actually rivalry week for the New York Jets against the New England Patriots. They're not the world beaters of New England of 2007 New England Patriots.
They haven't been since 2007.
Yeah, but they did come off of an impressive win against the New Orleans Saints. We both had the Saints.
That was a game.
That was a very good game. We both had the Saints, unfortunately, so that didn't make us look smart. But honestly, they actually had some sad news this week. They actually lost their middle linebacker, Gerard Mayo, the rest of the season with a pectoral tear. The same injury that Ray Lewis got, but he's probably not going to take some deer antler spray like Ray Lewis.
Oh, Ray Lewis was not going out that way. That's
of course. But with that being,
Mayo's got more years ahead of him.
Of course,
Lewis was. I have to come back.
I was making a joke. It's definitely tough that their defense have taken a big hit the last couple of weeks. They lost Will Falk the 2 weeks before.
Yes.
In the Atlanta game, so. It's really their defense is really getting hit hard. It's going to be interesting to see what Bill Belichick has to say and do for get his defense going. As for the offense, their running games has been playing good steadily.
Ridley's been well.
Ridley's played well. They had Blunt play well a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So they've gotten the running game going a bit. With their trio of running backs at the moment.
Amendola's getting healthy, so he's getting on the field.
He's actually hurt again, unfortunately.
Did he get hurt?
He got lit up, and he's concussed, so he's definitely not playing this week.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
He got absolutely destroyed, unfortunately. Like I tell my coworker, who is actually a New England Patriot fan, he's like the modern-day version of Wayne Corbett. Dude,
dude's got the talent, just can't stay healthy.
But when he gets hurt, he gets destroyed. When he gets hurt, and it's really sad to see. He finally gets back, and then he gets concussed. I don't know. It's just one of those tricky things.
You got to think Gronk's going to play, right?
Gronk is going to be another game time decision. It's getting a little tricky to see what's actually going on with Gronkowski. With the Patriots going on. There's something fluky.
Everyone keeps saying he's the best player in practice every week.
It's something fishy's going on.
This could be a let's punish him for being an idiot a lot of the time thing from an organization standpoint.
It's more of him not wanting to play the injury, not because of the Patriots.
He wants to play. He's the one complaining that they're not playing.
I don't know. It's getting really fishy, and it's getting to that point. They do need him. Absolutely. There's no question about that. He's arguably the second best tight end in the game. Number one, if he can get it going next to Jimmy Graham. I think.
Who also got hurt, by the way.
Yeah. I think the Jets could take this one. I think they could find a way to steal a game against the Patriots this week. They're my upset pick of the week. I'm gonna go with the Jets. I'm going out on a limb this week on the Jets. I think they could find a way to pull it out this week. They played really hard against them in New Gillette. Second Thursday of the season, and if it wasn't for Geno Smith's second game as a pro, throwing picks all over the fourth quarter, the Jets could have found a way to win that game.
I agree with you. I think they could have won that game
with the running game. Granted, unfortunately, Godson is actually he's done for the year. Unfortunately, he had just a terrible first year as a Jet. He actually, his first real game as playing for the Jets, he hurts himself pretty bad. So you're going to keep on getting Powell and Ivory getting the touches. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to get the catches. It's going to be a low-scoring game as always. Well, not as always, but for the Jets, it's going to be another low-scoring game. Can they contain Tom Brady and keep him low from not having Tom Brady numbers like he's been not having?
He hasn't had Tom Brady
That's what I'm
numbers all
saying.
season.
That's what I'm saying. Have him continue to not have Tom Brady numbers this season so far.
This is a place they love to play, Brady and
Oh,
Belichick.
absolutely.
In New York. And this is when they shine their brightest. They come into New York and they play. Interesting. I believe it was 12 was the over-under in that Thursday night game. The Winkland's only 3.5.
Wow. Well, of course, I'm going to take the Jets because I picked them to win. So I'm gonna say the Jets shock the world and they pull out the win.
I'm going to take the Patriots to win the game, but I think the Jets end up covering this.
Okay. I take the Jets covering. They're going to win by 3.
By the way, that had to be one of the best passes I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
That Brady touchdown.
Brady. Of course, it's Tommy Brady.
That was beautiful. So you're going to take the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Make sure to look out for our picks. We'll have some more picks later on. We'll even talk a little bit. Is honoring Peyton Manning a good move or a bad move by the Colts later on in the show? Okay. So let's play some Violence in the Season, and we'll be right back.
S&D Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Football League or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to episode 49. Once again, that was Division 1.1 with Violence in the Season. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball playoffs.
Been really fun. It's been really fun. A lot of not upsets. There's a lot of been interesting and intrigue, especially with the ALCS and NLCS. We both predicted 6 and 7 games in both series. We just have different opinions on the ALCS. We both have the Dodgers winning. I have them in 7, and you have them in 6, right?
Right. And you also took the Tigers.
I took the Tigers, which is not looking pretty at the moment, but I think the Tigers are going to find a way to bounce back in this series and make it interesting. Unfortunately, with me, my prediction's going to be wrong because I predicted them in... What did I predict them in?
Doing a what?
The ALCS. I have the Tigers winning. Was it in 7 or...
I think it was 6.
It was 6, and I have the Dodgers winning in 7? Okay, fair enough. It's been interesting. The Red Sox series has been really fun. Granted, everybody knows the...
Tigers in 7, Detroit in 6.
What? That's what?
Yeah, that's what you had. Tigers 7, Detroit 6.
Yeah, that's what I was
Dodgers
like. Dodgers
6.
in 6. Okay, so the Dodgers prediction I got wrong because they need to win it in 7. But with the Tigers, I still have a shot. I think it's only a matter of time that maybe Prince Fielder decides to hit a ball, drives in a run. You can tell Cabrera's still hurting, but their pitching's been good. Unfortunately, they got didn't get the last laugh yesterday. Well, not yesterday, the other day on the 15th when Napoli hit not a walk-off home run, but a game-decision home run in the 8th inning against Verlander. That definitely hurts the ego a little bit. It's been a tight series, all the games, but unfortunately, the Red Sox would get the last laugh, especially with Big Papi hitting a grand slam to unbreak the deficit.
That was amazing.
That was definitely one of those. Well, I remember being at that place watching that game, kind of home runs.
Yeah.
And then Saltiamacchia wins it in extras. So it's definitely been an epic series so far. It's going to be interesting to see how the Tigers respond and fight back. They've been in these situations before, especially with how they've been in the last few years, being contenders in the playoffs. So I definitely see the Tigers bouncing back and making it interesting. Am I backing down from my pick? Would I be shocked if Boston wins? Obviously not. But I think the Tigers are going to find a way to sneak it out and force a Game 7.
I think that there won't be Game 7. I just think that Boston is going to take this in 5. You're going to end up taking it in 5. You have your best pitcher in Lester going in Game 5, and you're already up 2-1. If you're going into that game up 3-1, you're gonna be fine. You got to figure the only way Detroit wins this at this point is because they're going to have Scherzer and Verlander.
Absolutely.
Going in
but
6 and 7.
With the Red Sox, granted, I took the Tigers. The Red Sox are such a scrappy team this year, and with solid pitching this year, it really is amazing on how scrappy the Red Sox are this year. It's really, really interesting. That's why they're the number 1 seed in the.
It's impressive.
Impressive,
especially after last year.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a crazy bounce back year, and it's great to see how a team gelled and became unity. They were able to unite as one and be able to carry it to the ALCS, which not a lot of people expected. Let's switch gears to the NL. The Dodgers and the Cardinals are having a good series as well. It's 3-2 at the moment. The Cardinals are leading that series. The Dodgers came back and won today. Well, came back today. They were recording on Wednesday night. They came back and won.
Yeah, it was impressive. I'm excited to see with the Dodgers because they don't have the experience in this situation.
Yeah, they don't have the experience. The Dodgers
they have the talent on the field.
The Cardinals do have the situation going on with them. It's going to be interesting to see what's going on and how the Dodgers use their pitching.
Yeah, Dodgers, we're going to have Kershaw in 6 and Ryu in 7. That's set in stone for that.
I think you gotta stick with that.
That you stick with because you have to have Kershaw go Game 6. No question about it.
Yeah,
you have to win Game 6. You're down 3-2.
You got to go Kershaw, and Ryu has played well this whole entire season. It's gonna be in St. Louis, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So it's gonna be a little tougher game than expected, but you gotta ride the horses that brought you to this point. And unfortunately, the matchup is not what the Dodgers would hope, but he's been a very serviceable pitcher this year, and he's had his moments of shocking the world.
But the other question becomes St. Louis. Wainwright pitched on Monday.
Yes.
You have him pitch Game 6 on Friday, counteract Kershaw, or do you save him and get the edge for Game 7 in case?
You get the edge for Game 7 because Wahika's been pretty good lights out as of late, and I trust him with the ball because he's carried no hitters to the 6th and 7th inning of the last few starts, and that's very impressive for a rookie pitcher, especially in October, to do such a solid job. So I'm gonna trust with my guns on this one and go with him. The rookie. Granted, because they still have room. If they lose, unfortunately they lose, but they get to have their ace for Game 7 at home.
Okay.
And if they do happen to win, they have him Game 1 ready to go in full rest. Granted, sometimes the rest is not the best for pitchers, but honestly, it's better than 2 days rest and 3 days of rest.
Well, Game 7 would be Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it'll be a 4-day rest. No matter what, Wainwright's going Game 1.
Yeah.
Because, actually, do you pitch Wainwright Game 1, considering if they win Game 6, he hasn't pitched since last Monday? He'll go a week and 2 days without pitching.
Which that sucks, but honestly, not bad at all. Honestly, I'd definitely take that, and I'd take my chances.
He's at the point where he's a veteran, and he knows how to handle himself. You got to think,
of course.
So,
I think the smart move would be definitely sticking with the original rotation they have. I definitely think that would be the case right there.
All right, you brought up a debate the other day. Is Puig good for baseball? You brought it up, so.
All right. There's the purist reaction to it, and then there's the new age to it. Honestly, it's really, really, really frustrating to see how he has all the talent in the world, but sometimes he could be a little bit over the top with certain celebrations and everything like that. But I think ultimately he's good for the game. I know a lot of purists and players want to police it out of the game and have him contain himself. It would be pretty hypocritical of me to not like him, because I've watched Jose Reyes grow up and being that type of player who would ignite the team and everything like that. And that's what I see Puig as. He's the igniter. As you can see, the Dodgers were nowhere near making the playoffs if it wasn't for Puig this year.
Correct.
With his energy alone. So I think he's very good for the game, as well as other people. I could see where people say he's bad for the game, but honestly, for what he's done with the Dodgers, the Energizer, he's great, but he needs to pick his spots, because he could piss off teams to the point that they'll maybe beam at him, or they'll get more pissed off and they'll want to play better and they'll pull out an upset. And that's what happened with Jose Reyes a bunch of times with the Mets in those good years that we unfortunately only made it to the playoffs one time. But you can tell teams got really mad about Jose Reyes' acting. Yeah, and that got him ready to go, and that made him more a unique team. Granted, it was nothing towards the other team. He was just showing his excitement for getting things done exactly, but other teams don't find that to be the situation in a lot of cases. What do you think about Puig?
I think it's Puig mania. That's what it is. It's like we've had Manny mania.
Manny Wood, yeah.
Manny Wood, and we had Fernando mania. I mean, we didn't see that, but know about it. It's probably just one of those situations that's going to calm down eventually.
Oh, it's going to calm down. It's really interesting to see how people forget about Matt Kemp, because he's had such a rough year. Year and a half, yeah, exactly. So it's definitely interesting to see.
But there's some plays with him, I don't like his attitude. There's a play in Game 5 that I noticed. The blooper where he lost it in the sun.
Okay.
But I feel like he kept losing the ball as it kept rolling to the wall. He literally took his time, and it was in the 9th inning, and it was a 3-run game.
Yeah. Like that's
the type of play you don't do. You're in a playoff game, and that can come back. That could have come back to bite them.
Yeah.
It became a 2-run game. If it comes back to bite them, and they lose the game, that's all on him.
Absolutely.
How is he going to handle that?
It's going to be interesting to see. I do have to tip my hat to Hanley Ramirez.
All guts. For all the times we've said how lazy he is.
Yeah, he's finally showing of how awesome a pro and how awesome of a player he really is. It's finally great to see, because his talent was getting wasted away in Miami last few years, and he has top 5 player stats in him. It's just he wasn't able to perform, or he didn't want to perform. It's pretty much what Mike Stan's going through right now.
Yeah.
With the Marlins. I was about to say Dolphins. It's really interesting to see, especially with the messed up ribs right now. Broken ribs. That's right. Broken ribs. All the treatment he's able to get through, and it's really amazing how he was able to get through it 2 nights ago and fight through the pain and everything like that. Unfortunately, he had to get out. Was taken out of the game, the previous game for injuries, but you gotta love his toughness, and you just gotta give him props, because we all know that he's a great player. He has all the talent in the world, but sometimes he just doesn't put it all together, and he looks lazy doing it sometimes, even though he's not a lazy player.
Yeah, he's a great player, and you know what? You can argue that if they come back and win the series, it's because of him, and not because of the way he's playing. Because of the fact that he is. Yeah,
it's about his guts.
He's showing that you're in October, you fight through everything, and you play.
Exactly, because you never know when you're going to be able to get there again.
Look at Bob Gibson.
Exactly.
One of the greatest home runs in baseball history.
Exactly.
Happened him coming off a trainer's couch. So, I mean, you have that right away. I think that Boston's going to wrap it up soon in their series, 6 or 7. Hopefully in Boston. Can tug the beards.
I don't know. I think Tigers find a way. I think they find.
I don't trust Detroit's bats the way they've been playing.
Yeah, but they can get hot out of nowhere and make it happen. I could see it. But it is Boston strong right now, and they're just on a high stroke. And to say it's gonna happen, it's probably not gonna happen. But if there's a team that can do it, it's definitely the Tigers. So I could definitely see that happening. So
yeah, it'll be a fun way to end it. Of course, game 1 will be while we're recording, so our picks will be up prior to our next recording next week. But right now we're going to go play some Violence in the Season, and we'll be back with a special guest.
SND Podcast is in no way affiliated with, associated with, produced, or endorsed by the National Football League or any of its affiliates.
Welcome back to episode 49 of the S&D Podcast Show on the Schmuck Sports Network. Once again, that was Violence in the Season, Division 1.1. Like we mentioned in the intro, we're flirting. We're not cheating on Andy. We're flirting. We'd like to welcome from HockeyBuzz.com, Dan Petriw. How are you, Dan?
Hey, good.
Guys, thanks for having me on tonight.
Not a problem.
Not a problem. So why don't you give us a little background? I know you write for HockeyBuzz.com is the website. You write a lot of Islander articles with the 7-woman D also who does it. So why don't you give us a little background?
Yeah. I'm a Quinnipiac University graduate with a degree in communications. I've worked in television since 1998 with various stops along the way. WTNH in New Haven, did a lot of writing and television at Quinnipiac, and I worked at ESPN for 13 years. And now I currently freelance at the Major League Baseball Network in Secaucus. And I also write as well for HockeyBuzz.com and also SportsEdge.com, which is based out of New Haven as well, and it focuses on Connecticut sports as well. So pretty much cover the Islanders, Sound Tigers, and then also Quinnipiac University.
That's really cool. How they let you out of Secaucus today? With
I'm only there a couple days a week, so.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Alrighty. So what made you want to write for HockeyBuzz.com?
Well, I was looking for an opportunity to write. It's always been something I've liked to do. I enjoy doing, and I started doing it with Sports Edge. And HockeyBuzz kind of came along and gave them some writing samples and did some articles on my own in the fan forum. And Eklund reached out to me and wanted to bring me on. So I jumped on for this season, and I really enjoying it. A good group of people who come to the site. A lot of visitors every day. There's some locals there, and there's also always someone new coming in and giving their 2 cents. It's just a really cool forum for everyone to talk hockey and celebrate their team and also criticize their team a little bit as well. But it's definitely a really good open forum where all 30 teams have it's almost like a meeting area or a quad, if you will, for all 30 teams fans in the league.
That's awesome. So, did you grow up an Islander fan? Is that why you chose to write for the Islanders, or?
Actually, no. That's a great question. I grew up a Whalers fan. Grew up a Hartford Whalers fan.
That makes sense.
I'm from originally from outside Hartford, Connecticut, in Southington, Connecticut, and grew up a huge Whalers fan. Always went to those games, and you think you guys have seen some bad hockey teams. I can say for certain that I definitely have seen some bad hockey teams along the way. But Wales had a couple of good years, but once they moved, I was teamless. Then once the Bridgeport Sound Tigers came along, I was living next door in Stratford, Connecticut, and started going to games there. And I realized that I needed a team. It was my favorite sport, and they were the Islanders' farm team. And I figured no one would accuse me of jumping on any bandwagon, so I decided to start following the Sound Tigers, then the Islanders, and the rest is kind of history.
That's pretty unique. That's definitely. Can you sing a little bit of Brass Bonanza for us?
Well, there are no words to Brass Bonanza, and I don't know if your listeners really want to hear me sing.
No, I'm kidding. That's really cool. Unfortunately, losing a hockey team, which all of us Islander fans were so close to actually doing, it must really suck that losing a passion of yours, losing a hockey team.
Yep.
It was really difficult. That's one of the reasons when with all the turmoil surrounding the Islanders arena. If I lost another team again, I mean, what are the odds of that? You like one team, they move, and you like another team, and they move too. I don't know if I could have handled another move. And that's like when people are criticizing, the move to Brooklyn and the inconvenience and how much the Barclays stinks. It's like I've seen the other end. I've read that book, and it's awful. as much as inconvenience you might be going to Brooklyn, it's nothing as bad as your team moving to Seattle or Quebec City or Kansas City. It stinks.
Absolutely.
All right, favorite Hartford Whaler moment?
1986 playoffs, Game 6. Kevin Dineen scores on a breakaway over Patrick Watt's shoulder. It was one of the first games I ever went to with my dad. And I don't even think he remembered this, but I remember it as clear as day. They win in overtime, and unfortunately lose in double overtime in Game 7. But that was probably the loudest I'd ever witnessed at a sporting event. And I remember I was young, but I remember it clear to this day. Dineen busting over through the left side, got a step on the defenseman, and just buried it over Watt's shoulder. I just remember going crazy. I was like, "Wow, this is great! This is going to happen every year." Not so much.
That's like my favorite Islander moment of all time was always going to be the Sean Bates penalty shot moment.
Yes, that's a great moment. And it's funny because between the Whalers and the Islanders, I have only been a fan of a team that's won one playoff series in its existence, and that was in 1986 when the Whalers beat the Nordiques in the first round of the playoffs.
Yikes! Yeah, I've never seen one, so.
I would also like to state that we just mentioned the Hartford Whalers and Quebec Nordiques on this show.
I know.
That's impressive. That's good. We should give ourselves a pat on the back for that.
We got two teams that don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. My dad mentioned the Quebec Nordiques by accident last night. He definitely meant Winnipeg, but he definitely how's Quebec doing? I'm like, what?
Well, I do believe they'll have, as soon as that new arena's done in Quebec City, they'll have a new team there.
All right. Speaking of expansion, where do you think else would have another team? Because there's going to be two new teams if they're going to expand.
Yeah, which is a horrible idea. It's really going to water down the game. At the same time, financially, I understand it completely. A couple ways I was thinking about, because I really sat down and thought about this. With Phoenix and Florida in new ownership, and it's right now appearing to be okay. The thing with Florida Panthers is many people don't know the Panthers actually own that arena, so they not only make money off the Panthers and the gate, and they get concession, they get parking. But if Katy Perry performs there, they're getting money for that because they actually own the arena. They're not paying a lease. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't know. So despite the fact that only 6,000 people a night go to a Panthers game, it doesn't really hurt them. They can still make money pretty easily there. With that being said, I guess I'll go through two scenarios. What I would like to see happen, and then what's actually going to happen. What I would like to see happen is, look, I don't like moving teams because, like I said, I've been through it. But I think the Panthers should be in Quebec City, and I think that the Phoenix Coyotes should be either in Seattle or Portland, Oregon, and then expand to either Seattle or Portland, Oregon, and then put another team in Toronto as well. So you'd be adding four new cities: Seattle, Portland, another team in Toronto, and Quebec City. What I think is going to happen is I think you're going to see expansion in Seattle and expansion in Quebec City. And then maybe down the road, if teams relocate, Portland, Oregon, and another team in Toronto would be a possibility. It's unbelievable that there's only one team in Toronto with the amount of people that live there.
Well, people say there should be another team in California. Like, they're such a big town. California, right. Sacramento, you think, could get a team.
I don't know about Sacramento. I think they've struggled for a while just with the Kings. It's not a huge town. I think if you're gonna expand, you got to go north. You got to get back into Canada, and you got to get into cities that are just great sports cities. And one of the most underrated sports cities in this country is Seattle.
I agree with that 100%. You see it with the football games. They even say they sell out WNBA games.
Yeah, they do very well for that, but then also the MLS, they average about 35,000 a game for the Seattle Sounders. They love their soccer up there too.
Are we all?
So I don't think there'd be any problem with them supporting an NHL franchise. The WHL does very good out there in the cities that they've been in, so I definitely think that they would be good. They're going to get a team. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. You did mention Toronto. I know that's the biggest city, quote unquote, biggest city for hockey. Why before any other Canadian city, why would they give Toronto another team?
I think they'll go to Quebec City first.
Well, but yeah, I know you mentioned it like fourth on the list, but I was just trying to get your take on if they were going to double dip in Toronto before.
there's so many people that live within 45 minutes of Toronto. I don't have the exact number with me, but it's at least 5 to 6 million people that live within 45 minutes of Toronto. So I definitely think they can support two franchises. Also, and I don't think it would hurt Buffalo, and I don't think it would hurt the Maple Leafs. The waiting list for Maple Leafs tickets are through the roof. You're talking like when it's the equivalent of the Green Bay Packers football, where you're waiting generation after generation to try and get season tickets. Similar situation up in Toronto. So I think they could definitely support another team there, and it's not like the Maple Leafs have I don't want to disrespect them. They don't have a storied franchise history. It's not like you're stepping on anybody's toes there. They haven't won a Stanley Cup in years. So I think that they can go in there and do quite well. If you're going to expand, you got to get into markets that love the game, and I think that would be a no-brainer. If you can support three teams, well, if you can support three teams in the metro area with the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils, or you can support three teams in California, although San Jose is farther away, I don't see why you can't support two teams in Toronto.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I'd never heard Toronto in a conversation before. That's why I wanted to get your take on that.
Well, I don't think it would be in Toronto per se. It would be in Markham. They are building a 18,000 seat arena there. They plan to use for World Juniors. But that's been the talk, is when that building's done, that could be a possibility. Markham's about 20 minutes outside of Toronto.
Okay. Fair enough.
What about a place like Kansas City?
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think that's they love their sports out there too. They love the Royals and they love their Chiefs, but I just don't know if that's a viable market. Like I said, I think we want to move north. I think the southern expansion is what it is at this point, and I think they want to move north. They have a very nice arena there with no pro team there. I mean, you'd think with that state-of-the-art arena they could get an NBA team and or an NHL team, and it's been years and they haven't gotten either. So I don't know if they're the best market. I've also just thrown around in my head Milwaukee as well. They really do like their hockey up in Wisconsin. However, Milwaukee's more of a blue-collar town, doesn't have the biggest corporate base that other cities like a Toronto or a Seattle or Quebec City would have. Although Quebec City is small on the smaller side, but just the ravenous fans up there, I don't think that would be an issue. But I think in Milwaukee you'd have a problem getting corporate support, although I do think you would get fan support there too. Back to Kansas City, I just don't know. I don't think that would work, and I think if you're going to expand or if you're going to go to a city, it's got to be a no-brainer. It's got to be, okay, we're going here, and it's going to be good to go. If you go to Quebec City, you're going to have a sold-out arena for years to come, even if the team's bad. So that's something they have to consider as well.
So don't go back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely not. Let's not. We learned our lesson there.
We did that. We learned the lesson twice. Keep that in mind.
Exactly.
You left Atlanta for a reason the first time. All right, let's talk about the New York Islanders. 6 games in. What's your take on the New York Islanders 6 games in?
Well, it's kind of I keep going back to in my columns. I keep going back to a work in progress. I think the team as a whole is a work in progress. They've done a lot of things good, and they've done some things bad as well. I will say I think the effort's there on a nightly basis. I don't think they've gotten outplayed. Well, there's stretches where they obviously have not carried the play, but all in all, I don't think they've gotten outworked. I don't think it's a lack of effort. I just think it's a lack of execution. I think Nabokov has been better than we thought he would be. I don't think goaltending's been a problem at this point. And the forwards have been very good for the most part. I don't think that's an issue. I think they're scoring enough goals. They're getting secondary scoring. I think the bottom 6 is going to start coming together. You saw a healthy Cal Clutterbuck last night, and he caused havoc against the Sabres, drew a couple penalties, was extremely active. So I think the bottom 6 is going to get it going. And Tavares, Grabner, Bailey, Nielsen have all been very good so far. Oposo struggled a little bit, but he's producing, and he's very noticeable out there. He's taking the body, so I can't really get it on him. But the problem with this team right now is it's execution and defense. They've not been good in their own end. They're struggling getting the puck out of their own end, which is also causing a problem. Why they might not be scoring as many goals, or not so much the goals, but the possession. You saw it most noticeably against the Blackhawks and the Predators, where combined in 2 games they had 30 shots on goal. That's because they never had the puck. And part of the reason is they don't have possession. If you don't have possession, you can't get shots, you can't get scoring chances. And part of that problem is breakout passes from the defenseman and the inability for anyone on this team outside of Vladimir Visnowski to be able to carry the puck out of his own end. Hickey can do it on occasion, but not consistently. The biggest thing they need to address right now is just tying up that defense. Collectively, it has not been good, and they have to get that. It's not going to be an A defense. We all know that. They don't have the talent to be an A defense, but it has to be a C. If it's a C, I think they'll be fine. But right now, it's probably somewhere around a D+.
Well, what is your take on the opinion of Matt Donovan being that future guy that carries the puck out of the zone?
He will be. I think he has all the talent in the world. I've seen Matt Donovan being next door and going to my share of Bridgeport Sound Tiger games. I've seen him quite a bit. He has all world talent. He's got a little bit of a mean streak. He's physical. He skates extremely well. He can carry the puck. He also has good breakout passes. I think at some point he'll be that guy. It's just they're working him in slowly. Let's be frank, he was terrible against the Blackhawks. So sitting for a couple games isn't the worst thing in the world. I'd expect him to get back in the lineup tomorrow night. I definitely think you'll see flashes of that. It's just he's a rookie. You can't expect to see it consistently night in and night out. You'll see it. You might see it for a game or two, and then it'll be average play or maybe some poor play. Then he'll peak up again. There's no plateau right now as he's trying to find his way and find his legs within the organization.
Well, this week, Radek Martinek's been in town skating and practicing with the team. Actually, there's been a report they may actually sign him. And possibly even send Donovan back to Bridgeport for a little bit. What's your take on that?
Well, I think if they sign Martinek, I don't think it'll be at the expense of Donovan. And I have nothing against Radek Martinez. He's a professional hockey player. He's a veteran presence. He's steady, smart, doesn't turn the puck over, doesn't make mistakes. He can skate it out of his own end. I wrote in my article today on HockeyBuzz.com that I was thinking of this lineup going forward. Visnowski and Martinek, Amac and Hamonic, although I'm not tied to those two staying together, but for now I'd be okay with it. And then Donovan and Karkner. I wouldn't mind seeing that for a few games and see what that looks like. I wouldn't mind Streit and Hickey not being in this lineup right now. I think those are the two weakest links. If they bring Martinek in, like I said, I don't know if it's per se at the expense of Donovan. I don't think Donovan, outside the Chicago game, has done anything that should get him sent back to Bridgeport. So we'll have to wait and see with that. But I have no problem Martinek coming in. He's a solid, steady defenseman. If he's healthy, he's pretty good.
I absolutely agree with you. I was actually at the game last night, and I had a feeling, like, obviously watching the Islanders on TV and opposed to watching them live is a little bit different feel. I feel that they're much better offensively this year. Defense, not so much. They did get 40 shots on net last night. Granted, it was an unsuperior team like the Sabres, but like you mentioned before, the whole block, the outlet passes in the defensive zone, just being able to clear the net is just glaring, and it's really scary. We have three solid defensemen. Hopefully we start beefing it up a little bit more. It's kind of alarming when a simple deflection hits off your guy with 2 minutes left in the game, and it's those games in April you're gonna be pissed that we lost out of 2 points last night.
Right.
I don't know, like I don't know where to begin. Like how can they improve on that sort of thing?
Well, it's almost like with the defense, it's kind of they have placeholders. They have a couple of placeholders on this team until the kids that they've drafted are ready to step up and step in and be consistent contributors. So it's almost like they're holding on. They're hoping to patch it together and just get by with it until the kids are actually ready. From what I've seen, when I've seen him play, the best player, the best prospect in the Island organization per se when it comes to being able to carry puck and just a vision of getting the puck out of his own zone and on someone else's tape as opposed to down the ice for an icing is Calvin Hahn. So we need to hope that he can stay healthy, get games under his belt. He definitely has an it factor. He also has fragile shoulders, but when he's healthy, if you watch him play, he is a very dynamic player, and he is someone, if he can get his game up to the NHL level and continue to progress, he is someone that can really, really, really help the Islanders. Also down in Bridgeport, you have Scotty Mayfield, Anjay Padan, both two very large bodies. This is their first full year playing AHL hockey, so they're going to need some time as well. So you hope, I mean, it's unrealistic to assume that every prospect is going to pan out, but you hope one of those two is close to stepping in at the end of this year or possibly next year, and they would help as well. And then you hope also Griffin Reinhardt is ready to make this team next year or close. So, and Pulik as well. He had an outstanding camp. So there's so many good young defensemen in this organization. There's some I haven't even touched on, like Pelech and Polka, who all have outstanding ability. It's just almost like they're kind of buying time. They have these placeholders, these spot holders, or seat fillers, I think their word, until these guys are ready to come in. Now, you can sign a couple of veteran defensemen who are a little more able-bodied to one-year deals. That's on Garth Snow, not necessarily on Jack Capuano. He just plays the hand he's dealt. So that might be on Garth to get someone in here who can help defensively.
Okay. Speaking prospects, since you are over in Connecticut, and you do get a chance to read up and see the Sound Tigers a lot more than the people locally on Long Island here. What is your take on this year's Sound Tiger team?
Also a work in progress. They're really trying. You have a lot of guys coming together who are their first year playing in the AHL, first year playing together. So also they are a work in progress. Through 4 games, they're 1-3. Defensively, for the most part, they haven't been dreadful. There was one game where they were very loose, but for the most part, they've been okay defensively. Anders Nielsen, despite his record, has been very good in that. He's got no help on a few occasions, especially the first game of the year. The forwards were not good in his own end, and guys were wide open left and right. But overall, his body of work is extremely encouraging, especially the 2012-2013 season. He's definitely someone to watch down there. Ryan Strome and Anders Lee are still a work in progress as well. I believe they've been okay. Strome, I believe, has 4 assists or 3 assists in 4 games. But they're not dominating any stretch of the means, and definitely they need to work on their play when they don't have the puck and work on their play when they're playing defense, when they're in their own end. That's definitely glaring weaknesses right now. I just say to everyone in Islanders Nation, I think Strome will play for the Islanders this year. Just got to be a little patient with them, let him develop. He's not there yet. And, every prospect develops differently. I know people are going nuts because Tomas Hertl is leading the league in goals, and he's a 19-year-old. Well, every prospect develops differently, and you have to treat each one differently. I mean, the draft at some point is a crapshoot. Look where Pavel Datsyuk was drafted. Look where Zetter and Lundqvist are drafted. So not just because you're a first-round pick doesn't mean you're ready to play at age 18, as we're actually seeing right now with the Yakupov being a healthy scratch, Dougie Hamilton being a healthy scratch. So first-round pick doesn't mean as much as if you can't contribute. So I definitely think that Bridgeport will get it going. They have some talent down there. They have some decent role players down there as well with Sundstrom and Person. Sundstrom is someone who I can see getting the look with the Islanders on a 3rd or 4th line role. If there was an injury at that level, 3rd or 4th line player. He's not a flashy player, but he's a good skater. He's a big body, and he does everything well.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your take on the Eastern Conference?
Well, I can tell you the men's division is a dumpster fire right now. It's the Penguins, and that's about it. I think the Atlantic division is proving to be a little more formidable at this point. It's only 5 or 6 games, so we can't go nuts. But Boston obviously looks like a playoff team. Penguins look like a playoff team, and the Red Wings obviously coming into the Eastern Conference. They've looked well. They've looked good. Maple Leafs are playing good hockey. I like Ottawa more than other people do. I think Ottawa has a lot of talent, especially has some good young defensemen. They have a good goalie, and I think Bobby Ryan will get it going. I think there's enough goal scoring there. So there's a lot of issues in the Metropolitan Division. Teams that, and as we talked about the Islanders and being 2-2-2 and the things that they're not doing right, there are teams in the Metropolitan Division in significantly worse shape. You look at the Flyers, what they're going through. They already fired a coach. Teams in turmoil, a lot of injuries. The Capitals have had a lot of problems. The Rangers can't keep the puck out of their own net. The Hurricanes they are what they are. They're very top heavy, but very thin. Also, losing Pickett will hurt their power play. I don't expect them to be around all year. The Devils, they're having a problem keeping the puck out of their net too, and they definitely struggle. I have Columbus. I was a lot higher on Columbus than a lot of people were. I think they're an exciting team to watch. A very blue collar team with a good goalie. That was one of my question marks: is could Bobrovsky sustain it for a whole year? So far, so good with that. They have a very mobile and active defense. They don't have big shutdown guys, but they have a lot of guys who can contribute offensively with Johnson and with Newski and Murray, the rookie Ryan Murray. Obviously, you're not sure what you're going to get from a rookie, but he's been okay so far. And up front, Gaborik looks healthy. I really, really, really like Cam Atkinson. I've been talking about him for a long time. I've seen him play quite a bit, and every time I see this kid play, he's always one of the best players on the ice. So if Columbus can be around 500, maybe a few games over in December and January when they get Nathan Horton back, that's like a significant trade getting someone back. And when Horton returns from injury, if this team's in the playoff hunt or right around the playoff spot, I think they can get in. But right now, I definitely think the Atlantic Division looks significantly better than the Metropolitan Division. And obviously a lot can change, but right now I could see 5 teams getting in from there and 3 teams getting in from the Metro.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that. Obviously, like you mentioned, right now it's first week and a half,
right.
So it's a little cluster right now. But honestly, right now the best team obviously in the Metro is the Penguins. Of course, everybody else has 2 wins or 0 wins in that division, so it's going to be a cluster throughout this whole entire season. It's just that those teams cannot sustain those long losing streaks because it could be over in a hurry, especially with divisions being 8 teams opposed
right.
to the 5-team division. So it could get ugly real quick for certain teams like Philly and the Rangers for a while. But the Rangers could definitely come fight back. It's going to be interesting to see with this whole new format on which teams will brace themselves to get to jockeying for a better playoff position or actually fight for a wild card spot for the final 2 spots.
I don't know if I mentioned the Capitals as well. They have their whole set of issues as well, defensively and goaltending. They need to pick it up. Ovechkin's been fine, but Grabowski's had a couple of good games, but that's his MO. 1 or 2 good games and then 30 bad games. But yeah, there's a lot of teams struggling right now, and I know it's just been 6 games, but if, for example, the Rangers start the season with a 9-game road trip, if they start 2-7, that could really put them behind the 8 ball, and they're going to be playing catch-up for the entire season, and it's not like trying to jump 1 or 2 teams to get to that 8th spot. You might have to jump 5, 6, 7 teams, as you said, and that's going to be a lot more difficult. So teams need to right the ship quickly.
All right, then. Before we let you go, let's get a fan Stanley Cup prediction and a realistic Stanley Cup prediction.
All right, fan Stanley Cup prediction. I would love to see Chicago versus Detroit play each other for the Stanley Cup. I think that would be amazing. That would be, and that's one of the great things about
that would be pretty
Detroit
awesome.
Going back to the East. That would be something to see. Realistically, actually, that's not far off from being. That's pretty realistic. I still really like Boston. I know they've had some problems scoring goals right now, but they're just a team that's built for the playoffs. They're not built for the regular season. They are built to win the playoffs, unlike the Penguins, who are more built to succeed in the regular season. So I'm going to go right now. I'm going to go with the why not? I'm going to go with the rematch of Blackhawks versus Bruins for the finals again. Just really like both teams. I really like San Jose, but when it comes to San Jose, it's like the show me state. You got to show me. They've failed so many times in the playoffs that I can't take them seriously until they get there. However, they've done a great job of retooling their team on the fly, and they're younger, they're faster, they're more athletic, and they don't have to rely on Thornton and Marlowe. Actually, Thornton and Marlowe aren't as significant players as they have been in the past there. It's becoming Logan Couture's team. Moving Brent Burns up into a forward position has been fantastic. He's got great hands and great size. I don't know if Tomas Hertl can keep this up for the whole year, but I would expect that he's going to be able to contribute. And Pavelski, they are loaded. They're young and they're fast. And they don't need, because Thornton and Marlowe have struggled in the postseason. So now they can almost play more of a complementary role, and that might be more suiting for them. So I really do like San Jose, but right now we're going to go with the Blackhawks and the Bruins.
Okay. All right, quick question. Would you want to see Joe Thornton score 4 goals in a game after his comments last week?
No. Well, it'll never happen because I don't know if Thornton's ever had more than 3 shots in a game.
That's true, but I kind of want to see if he'll man up and actually do it.
I would expect that he would not do that because I would assume the fine would.
The only way you could do that is if it's 4 goals and it's the game clinching for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Sure, and then you can do whatever you want. It could be like in the slap shot.
Yeah, I was just about to
Right.
say that slap shot type thing.
Yep.
That would be acceptable because you take the fine after that, you just won the cup. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're getting that
Exactly.
bonus anyway.
Exactly.
Well, Dan, we would like to thank you for joining us.
Okay, anytime.
Check it out, hockeybuzz.com. We've retweeted a couple of his articles recently. Definitely have you on again.
What is your Twitter handle?
It's DanNoodles78.
Okay, so get the follow for him. Definitely worth the look at on Twitter.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan, for coming on.
Yes.
Guys, I really appreciate it. Anytime, always here for you.
All right, we're going to go play a little more Division 1.1, and we'll be right back.
But when he gets hurt, he gets destroyed when he gets hurt, and it's really sad to see.
Its affiliates.
It's great. All right, welcome back to the S&D podcast. Dan here with Steve. You just listened to, once again, our Song of the Week for Division 1.1, Violence in the Season. We personally want to thank Dan for coming on. It was great articles on BuzzFeed all the time. It was a very
HockeyBuzz.com.
Hockey Buzz. I don't know where I got that website from, but HockeyBuzz.com. It's definitely a good site to check out for the whole NHL fan base to look. It has every single team, and it's definitely a good read, interesting read if you want to get caught up with the whole entire league. So thank you for him to coming on, talk about the little Sound Tiger hockey, which we obviously don't get a lot. So that's good to hear that a lot of our prospects are slowly getting better and hopefully make it to the Islanders really soon, kind of thing. So thanks Dan for coming on. Back to our weekly business. We're going to talk about our football picks. Steve, let's start off with which game do you want to start off with first this week?
Let's do the NFC East Division game.
Okay.
3-3. Battle of first place.
Pretty much the battle of first place. The team that wins is pretty much going to be sole position of first place and have the stranglehold on the division.
In Philly.
It's in Philly. Honestly, how can you not go Cowboys? I know Nick Foles had a good game. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. I know the Cowboys are going to have a bunch of injuries going on that game with no DeMarcus Ware or DeMarco Murray. That's going to hurt them, but they do have Tony Romo. I know it's crazy for me saying that, but Tony Romo is one of the better quarterbacks in the league, especially compared to Nick Foles, who had a great game going on. So
Nick Foles played well.
He played well.
He played Tampa.
So all I gotta say is how bad the Eagles' defense is. That Mike Glennon tore them apart, and that's never good to do. So I honestly, I see Dallas winning that one. With injuries and all, they're just a better team.
Yeah. Of course, it comes down to will Mike Vick play, which doesn't look likely. They keep talking about how he has to keep resting, so it doesn't look likely for Mike Vick to play. So you got to figure the Cowboys are going to win this game in Philly unless the Eagles come out and just go crazy on offense.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the only way that they're going to be able to win. The Eagles will win this game, so I'm going to have to pick the Cowboys in this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get Dallas on that.
All right, what's the next game you want to talk about?
The next game I wanted to talk about is it's going to be an interesting matchup. It really depends on the health on Calvin Johnson. The next game is the Lions and Bengals.
2 first-place teams.
2 first-place teams is right. I think the Lions are going to find a way to win if Calvin Johnson is gets a little bit healthier, they're obviously not going to be able to be stopped. They may be winning the division, the Bengals, but honestly, I don't like them as much as other people are liking them right now. Andy Dalton is not playing great as of late. It's just one of those things. They played great against certain teams in certain games, but they're not completely there yet. So it's going to be interesting to see which Bengals team is going to show up.
Unlike you, I am high on the Bengals. I was during the offseason. I think they're going to end up pulling out the win. I feel like they have more weapons. Granted, they have Bush and Calvin. I feel like Cincinnati can run the ball with Firm and Jarvis Ellis.
And
also Gianni Bernard's having a great season for a rookie. 60 for 237, 2 touchdowns. He's actually one of the top receiving running backs also. He's got over 200 yards receiving. AJ's being AJ. Earhart, Effort, the kid from Notre Dame.
Eifert, yeah.
Eifert's playing well.
So is Gresham.
Gresham.
But honestly,
they got that 2 tight end set that's been well.
I really do. I really like the Lions' defensive line. So I think they're going to be able to find a way to stop the running game. So that's going to just wreak havoc for Andy Dalton on Sunday. So I'm gonna go with the Lions on that game. Next game. What game do you want to pick? Obviously the game that we should cover is the Colts and Broncos. Peyton Manning's return to Indy.
All right, and what's your view on, of course, SportsCenter spending the week only
Jim
talking about that?
He's looking ungrateful at most of the view, but it just shows that he's moved on, kind of thing. And obviously, he does not mean it word for word. I really can't wait to see. The crowd is 100% going to cheer for Peyton until he scores the first touchdown of the game.
Until the game starts. You cheer him on during the pregame thing they're doing.
It's going to be weird. It's going to be very weird and awkward situation, especially when Peyton's just always all business, and it's going to be interesting to see. It's definitely going to be one of those must-see TV moments, especially for any football fan to see. It's going to be sad, and
there's a reason this game's on Sunday Night Football.
Of course, the minute they saw that game scheduled, you knew that was going to be a Sunday nighter.
Once it became a matchup.
Oh, yeah, you knew it was a guaranteed Sunday nighter. There was no questions.
And you knew that it was going to be early in the year because there's no way they're flexing that game.
Yeah, of course. It was a guaranteed, no chance in hell.
Colts could be 0-6 right now. They're playing that game on Sunday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter.
It's going to be... I'm sorry. It's going to be a good game. I just think the Colts are just too much firepower, and they're going to find a way to pull out the win and Peyton's return back to Indy.
Oh, yeah. Peyton, the Denver you meant. To the Colts.
Where's my head? I think Denver's going to find a way to pull out the win in Indy. It's just.
I didn't like what I saw out of the Colts on Monday night against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And to see that, to think about how they're going to play against a team like Denver, just getting Von Miller back.
Honestly, I think it was more of them looking over the Colts. I mean, that's
Chargers. All everybody talked about. 2 weeks now,
and that they now that they're going to be playing the Peyton Manning Denver Broncos that are undefeated. It's going to be an impressive feat if they find a way to win. They're just been too much. They found, granted they didn't cover against the Jaguars last week, but they did find ways to win, and they used No Sean Marino. It's just they have just too many weapons for anybody to handle, and the Colts defense is nowhere near as good as any other defense that they've played so far. So it could be a shootout, but at the end of the day, the Broncos are going to find a way to win, and they're going to be 7-0.
I agree with you 100%. All right, last game we're going to talk about is a divisional matchup.
Okay.
The 1-4 Steelers, who looked pretty impressive against the Jets, looked like the old school Steelers coming off a bye, hosting the 3-3 Ravens, who have not looked like a Super Bowl team.
It's the good old, same old Ravens. I don't know what is going on with the offensive meetings with the Ravens. 1 week they don't decide to give the ball to Ray Rice, they lose.
Next
week they give Ray Rice the ball. What do you know? They win. And next week after, they decide not to give Ray Rice the ball again. They lose. So it's going to be interesting which playbook the Ravens decide to play. This is the biggest rivalry in football. Records do not matter in these games. I'm going to take the Steelers.
They hate each other.
I'm going to take the Steelers. The Steelers are going to find a way to win this game, pull it out, and they're going to upset the Super Bowl champions.
Defending Super Bowl champions.
They are at home, so the crowd's going to be amped up, ready for that game. It's going to be a 4:25 start, so we're probably going to get that game on CBS. I'd be shocked if we didn't.
That's going to be... I don't think we may not.
We might not, actually.
That would mean we get 2 CBS games.
All right. Well, you never know.
You got to think, there's no Monday game. There's no Fox. There's only one Fox game.
Yeah. So I could see us getting that game. Yeah, I could easily see us get that game.
Yeah, whatever.
If we do it, we have Red Zone for it anyway.
Exactly.
But regardless, I think the Steelers could find a way to win this game and get back into respectable territory right now.
That's my upset pick of the week. Is the Steelers.
Yeah, I could see. Okay, so I'm going with the Steelers as well. I think they're going to find a way, unless the Ravens smarten up. I don't know why their coordinators don't want to give Ray Rice the ball more.
It would make sense.
It's just a proven stat. Whenever he gets the ball more than 20 times, they're winning. And Joe Flacco needs that production out of him to become Joe Flacco, and that's why they paid him so much money in the offseason. I don't get why. They went to him 2 weeks ago. That they lost pretty badly. They win when they got Ray Rice going, and then bam, they stopped doing it again. So they gotta figure something out. It's 2 years. It's been the last couple of years that they haven't been reusing Ray Rice as much as they should. And then they fired their offense coordinator last year, and then they finally used Ray Rice again. So that's coming from a person that has Ray Rice in a bunch of leagues. So you could tell how frustrated I am with him. Unfortunately, just the amount of how he's not being used well. And a lot of it has to do with injuries as well.
Yes.
But honestly, they should be able to give him the ball more than a few times, which is it's just weird. It's really, really weird because you can easily look at the stats and they're like, why haven't you run the ball more? And I don't know. But I'm gonna go Steelers. They're gonna find a way to pull it out because they're just gonna be hungry and feed off the crowd this week.
Yeah, like I said, that's gonna be my pick of the week. My super pick of the week.
Okay, if you missed it in the Jets segment, I have the Jets pulling out the upset against the Pats this week.
Okay. Well, the rest of our picks will be posted on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter pages, so make sure to check that out. Just a little mop-up work. Eyes on Isles, Thump and Chase podcast. Check them out.
Don't forget hockeybuzz.com, of course.
Check out our buddy Dan. Thanks to him again for joining us. Great having him on. We'll definitely have him on again. Vision 1.1, check them out.
First, check them out as well. Enjoy your football.
Also, before we go, BrazilianRockCrystal.com. Check them out on Facebook. Chandelier dressing, sinks, faucets, fixtures, plates, bowls, cups, religious articles, lamp bases, paperweights. Basically anything you want in rock crystal, they can get for you. Great business over there. Check them out. BrazilianRockCrystal.com. Like it on Facebook. Just want to throw that in there.
All right.
So, this was episode 49. Also, next week, NBA preview.
NBA preview. We're going to have a double dip next week on the show.
Friend Alex from Brooklyn Nets Fan Club. Finally get someone to talk about the Nets. And our good friend from Schmuck Sports. Don't forget to check them out. SchmuckSports.com. Co-founder Keith Black will be joining us to talk Knicks. So as a bunch of the other NBA. Also, we're going to try and plan something big. Episode 50 next week.
Yeah, 50 episodes already. Crazy to think about. So
Jesus.
A fast year. Anyway, thanks for listening to our show.
Thanks for supporting us through 49 episodes.
Yes, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know the rest. Thank you and have a good night.
See you next week.